Okay, good evening. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast. Coming to you from the studios of VK3 CSJ, VK3 Charlie Sierra Juliet, located in Narre South. Broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kHz in the 80 metre amateur radio band, and simulcasting on 1865 kHz in the medium wave band, 160 meters, and also by the Melbourne TV repeater VK3 RTV digital channel 2. Not broadcasting in HD. Transmission is in standard definition until we get our HD system sorted out. But it is working quite well from what I can tell, been told. And also, if you want to see the session in HD, not that it's super critical, but if you want to see the visions side of the shack in HD, then our YouTube channel is more than adequate to for you to have a look at, which can be found in two places. Type in VK3CSJ on YouTube, and you'll see the live stream there, and or via the ASV website at www.asv.org.au, and look under the Radio Astronomy tab for the broadcast link. So anyway, good evening to everybody. This 4th of February, how quick the year has gone so far. Anyway, we're back at work this week after a 5-week layoff, and yeah, it's one of those things. Anyway, enough of that. I'm a little bit tired. It might be a short session tonight, but I always say that, and it never is. But I've spent all afternoon out in the garden cutting grass and raking, and I'm absolutely stuffed. But that's another story. We have an up-to-date solar report from our solar space weather woman, Tamitha Skov, and she's all queued up, ready to go in a short while. But there's just a handful of interesting articles tonight. So, and of course we've got Sky Notes, courtesy of Science Works Planetarium, and they're all ready to go in just a few moments. So, having said all that, just the usual bit of blurb that I read out. So I don't know why I haven't committed this to memory by now, but there it is. It's just too many words. But I shall go and do it for those folks that are tuning in for the first time. Alright, now I think my audio level on ATV should be okay, hopefully. I might be able to up that level a bit because it's not quite peaking where I want it to peak. 4, yeah, it's a little bit better. Alright, that'll do. The Astronomical Society of Victoria, founded in 1922, comprises over 1,600 members scattered throughout Victoria, the states of Australia and overseas. Membership of the Society is open to all persons with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy, to disseminate the knowledge of the science, and to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, except in January, the latter being held on a Saturday night. Meetings start at 8 p.m. at the Muller Hall National Herbarium, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is located not too far from the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dallas Brooks Drive and the surrounding streets. Admission is free and visitors are most welcome. Excuse me, there goes my voice already. Membership, oh, there we go. That's a bug I must have just swallowed. Good grief. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at Melbourne Observatory. Receipt of the ASV magazine Crux containing articles, news, observing notes and the like, and the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector, a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a recently restored photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory and are accessible to members as well. The Society also has a number of 200mm refractors available for short period loan to members so they can try before they buy. Regular Society Club Night meetings are held on the first and last Fridays of each month at the Lodge, which is the Society's club room located at a property in Burwood. Members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. And these instruments include a 508mm equatorial reflector and a number of small reflectors. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. There are a range of instruments available for members to use. The larger to only with appropriate training, which range from 300mm to 1000mm in aperture. Also located on site is a 8.5 metre radio steerable telescope, which members can access with involvement in the radio astronomy section. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers wanting to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Other areas of interest that members can participate in include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy, computing, cosmology and astrophysics, historical studies and research in astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors are provided in the yearbook. Further information may be obtained by visiting the ASV website, and notifications of events are given in the Crux extra bulletins sent out via email to members. Please note that the ASV will conform to all government health directives. ASV events may be required to be cancelled, moved or postponed accordingly. Further information can be gleaned from by writing to the Secretary, the Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Or conversely, you can go to the ASV website at www.asv.org.au and all will be revealed. Information about joining is all there on the homepage. And yeah, all cool. We're in our anniversary year, 100 years of the ASV. So this year is a anniversary year for the ASV, so many things are planned. The only thing that'll stuff it up is COVID. Excuse me, but hopefully everything will be cool. So I know the Messier Star Party, at least the Messier Star Party, is still planning to go ahead. I don't think it'll be resorted to Zoom meetings, but we just don't know at this stage. But we'll keep you informed of what happens in that event. Alrighty then, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with a regular Friday night broadcast on 80-160 Melbourne RTV repeater and streaming live video, HD, on the internet. Okay, now let's see, it is 10 past 10. Let's go into I'm having problems receiving the repeater here. It's a problem with my setup, but I've got no, as far as I know, I've got no picture coming off the repeater, but I have been told there is a picture there, so I've got to fix it up, hopefully this weekend. I know it's working because I saw a station on there a bit earlier this morning, so why it's not working now, I have no idea. Confounded electronics. Why would you be a ham radio operator? I mean, honestly, who would be involved with the hobby? Sorry, just losing it there for a second. Okay, Sky Notes. Sky Notes. Where are my Sky Notes? Okay, here. Now, just on the home page of the ASV, just have a quick look at anything here that's worthwhile indicating. Alright, it looks like the Astronomical Society of Victoria has a calendar out. It's the Centenary calendar, now on sale. I suspect it's open to anybody. I don't think you have to be a member. The 2022 Astronomical Society of Victoria calendar shares a selection of photographs taken by ASV members. This inaugural calendar celebrates the 100th anniversary of ASV. The calendar is marked with interesting astronomical phenomena as well as other important dates to remember and discover. And it's around the $23 mark, but it's all available on the home page, and you can purchase it from the home page. It's just as simple as that. So I'll probably snaffle one. Alright, there's a few other things happening here too. There's an ASV raffle going on, the selling of a telescope, which will be the raffle will be drawn at the Messier Star Party, which is it's in March sometime. Do they give a date here? I can't see a date. Doesn't matter. But just keep an eye on the homepage. That will do you. Lots of other stuff there. So on the homepage of ASV, www.asv.org.au. Okay, Sky Notes, February 2022. Looks like the planetarium is open, despite situations going on. So they've got they've got a special event for those that want to exploit the 14th of February, Valentine's Day under the stars. Okay. The planetarium itself is open between 4:30 and 5:30 on Sunday, Jan and February. Sundays. It's Sundays only. Sundays, Jan and February, 4:30 to 5:30. They've got something happening. Full dome movies for all family at Planetarium this summer. So just check the website out for that information. And Planetarium nights. The next session is at 5:30 p.m. They don't really tell you when, or there is a link so you can explore that. Alright, James Webb Space Telescope update. Everything is still moving along very well from what I know. The new multi-billion-dollar Webb Infrared Space Telescope has performed flawlessly on its month-long journey and has now arrived at its destination 1.5 million kilometres from Earth. The gravitationally stable location known as Lagrange 2 or L2. During its transit, it successfully unfolded and tensioned its 5-layered heat shield, deployed its solar array, radiation panel, communications antenna, secondary mirror, and lastly its golden primary mirror. The detailed sequences for all these intricate steps required well over 300 critical steps or mechanical actions, a failure of any one of which could have doomed the telescope. A final course correction has placed it exactly as planned. Over the next 4 months it will cool to a space-side operating temperature of minus 233 degrees C, minus 266 degrees for one key instrument. During this time, its systems will be tested, calibrated and fine-tuned, and its primary mirror of 18 hexagonal that word, yeah, doesn't matter. You know what I'm trying to say. Segments will be brought into exact alignment only when will its exciting and potential revolutionary science begin. So that's a nice little succinct update on the Space Telescope. Hexagonal. That's the word. Hexagonal. I had to think about it. Have a coffee, Clint. Yep. Okay. All right. G'day, Martin. VK7. JAH has joined the chat window. In fact, I don't think I mentioned about the Discord chat window. Oh, yeah. If you want to come up on the Discord chat window, you can find the link to that on the ASV website. So just come up as you are, or you can use an alias if you want some funny, weird name. But anyway, g'day Martin. It looks like Graham is there, VK3GRK. G'day Graham. And Neb's, g'day mate. Clear skies here in Melbourne. Yeah, it's not too bad tonight. Not too bad. All right, that was that one. Go down. Go down a little bit further. All right, Melbourne sun times. For those that are interested in knowing when the sun rises and when it sets. My nose is playing up. On February 1st, the sun rose at 6:33 and set at 8:33. A day length of 13.59 hours. On Friday the 11th of February, the sun will rise at 6:44 and set at 8:23 with a day length of 13.38 hours. Well, I should say 13 hours and 38 minutes, really. That's the better way of saying that. And on Monday the 21st of February, I keep wanting to say January, on February 21st February, the sunrise is at 6:55, setting at 8:11, and with a day length of 13 hours and 15 minutes. And by the end of the month, on Monday the 28th, the sun will be rising at 7:03 and setting at 8:01 with an hour day length of 12 hours and 58 minutes. So it's all getting shorter. Moon phases, if you're interested in moon phases, there's a new moon, or there was at least, a new moon on the 1st of February. The first quarter, there'll be a first quarter phase on the 9th of February, Wednesday the 9th. We'll have a full moon on the 17th of February, Thursday, and a third quarter on 24th of February. The moon will be the furthest from the Earth, apogee, on the 11th of February at 404,896 kilometres, and it will be closest to the Earth on Sunday the 27th of February at 367,789 kms. Clicks. Okay, visible planets. Mercury returns to our eastern skies, visible in the early dawn from 5 a.m. before fading by sunrise. So if you've got a clear view of the eastern sky before sunrise, there's a chance to see Mercury just above the horizon at about 5 a.m. Venus is now back, but as the morning star, rising in the dawn sky from around 4 a.m. and a little earlier each morning as the month progresses. Yes, I saw Venus outside my kitchen window, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday morning, getting ready for work, and she was bright, absolutely a beautiful looking object in the sky, our Venus. Mars has completed its pass behind the Sun and will be visible from around 3:30 a.m, joining Mercury and Venus in our early morning skies. Jupiter testing 1 2 3 Jupiter is now below the western horizon by evening as it orbits orbit takes it behind the Sun. The giant planet, third brightest object at night after the Moon and Venus, will return next month in our early morning skies. Saturn has just passed behind the Sun, but it is still too close to the Sun. The famous ringed planet will, however, become visible in the pre-dawn light from early April. Meteors. Excuse me. The Alpha Centaurids and Beta Centaurids are active from the 2nd to the 25th of February, peaking on the 8th, which, let's just have a quick look at the calendar. The 8th is Tuesday. I'm losing my voice. They are different, but it is difficult to distinguish between them, they say here. Occurring near the two pointers of the Southern Cross, in that region, occurring near the two pointers, they are not strong showers, but often have fireballs and persistent trails. Averaging around 25 per hour can occur, but 6 per hour has been more the usual. So that's the Alpha Centaurids and Beta Centaurids, peaking on Tuesday, the 8th, most likely in the morning. Usually they do. So if there's any meteor scatter operators out there, here's a chance to do some meteor scatter. Star constellations. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. That really gets bogged down here. So all I can suggest, if you want to learn a little bit more about the constellations in the sky, go to Sky Notes on the planetarium website, ScienceWorks website, because they've got it's wordy. There's a lot of stuff there. There's pictures of constellations. They've got this is interesting. They've got a size relationship between the star Sirius A, and our Sun, and our Sun. Yeah. So I wondered about putting that up on TV when I saw it. But Sirius A is about 1.7 times the size of our Sun, twice its mass. Its surface, it's got 9,000 K surface temperature. It is almost twice that of the Sun, but its bigger surface area makes it brighter, with a luminosity over 25 times that of our Sun. That's Sirius A. Sirius A. We should refer that to too. Okay, let's just move on out of that. Lots of pictures. It's truth. Okay, International Space Station. The ISS orbits every 90 minutes. 90 minutes, Americans like to say. 90. The ISS orbits every 90 minutes at an average distance of 400 kilometres. It appears like a bright star moving slowly across the sky. Some bright passes are below, for the Melbourne region at least. On Saturday the 12th, it will pass overhead in the early morning and again in the evening, giving 2 chances to spot it one day. So on the morning of Friday the 11th, 5:30 a.m. to 5:57 a.m, coming in from the west-southwest to the northeast. And then on Saturday the 12th, coming in at 5:30 a.m, 5:03 a.m. to 5:09 a.m, coming in from the southwest to the northeast. So that's February the 12th, Saturday. And on the evening of Saturday the 12th again, at 9:43 p.m. to 9:49 p.m, coming in from the northwest to the southeast. And then the next day, Sunday evening, 13th of February, 8:55 to 9:02 p.m, coming in from the west-northwest to the southeast. Like I always say, if you want to confirm these passages of the International Space Station, just go to the Heavens Above website. Heavens Above, heavens hyphen, actually there's a little dash between the two, but just type in Heavens Above in your favourite search engine, and you'll find the website Heavens Above, and it's actually a brilliant website because it gives you the passings or the positions of stars, any stars in the sky, constellations. Just about every amateur satellite is listed, including a whole bunch of other satellites. I'm not even sure if Iridium satellites are still up there. They probably are, but they give you predictions for Iridium flares, and I think that's a still happening thing. And they might even have information about the Musk satellite, the constellation of satellites that have been launched by Elon Musk. I think there's a table of potential predictions there too, something along those lines. But Heavens Above is the website to go to. Oh dear. Alright, this is VK3EKH. ASV Radio. Alright, we've come to our favourite dates for February. We've got quite a few here. I won't go through them all. What is the date today? It's the 4th. So let's see. Let's go up to to Monday. On the 1st of February 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated on re-entry, killing all 7 astronauts and halting the shuttle program for over 2 years. Also on the 1st of February 1970, US astronomer Vera Rubin finds evidence of dark matter by studying the motion of stars and galaxy rotation not consistent with Newton's laws. On the 3rd of February 1996, Luna 9 made first soft landing on the Moon and sent first panoramic images from the Ocean of Storms. On the 4th of February 1976, Lunar Orbiter 3, USA, launches to the Moon to select Apollo landing sites. On the 5th of February 1963, Dutch astronomer Maarten Schmidt discovers quasars, quasi-stellar radio sources. God bless him. On the 7th of February 1979, Pluto moves inside Neptune's orbit for the first time since 1930 discovery. That's interesting. On the 8th of February 1969, the Allende meteorite, the largest carbonaceous meteorite found, lands near the village of Allende, Mexico. And one more, why not? On the 9th of February 1986, first module of the Mir space station, USSR, is launched into Earth orbit. And I'll leave the rest till maybe next week, or the end of the broadcast, I don't know. Whatever tickles my fancy. This is You're Tuned. That's it. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, broadcasting from the studios of Narre Warren South, VK3CSJ. Yes. Just looking at this wonderful page that they have on the Space James Webb Telescope. Nice graphics and stuff. All a lot of good information here. Courtesy of the Goddard Space Flight Center, James Webb Space Telescope, nasa.gov. Just look it up, easy to find. Alright, now talking about the International Space Station. NASA says International Space Station will retire, then crash into the Pacific Ocean in the year 2031. So it's still got a little bit of life left in it, thank goodness. NASA plans to retire the International Space Station at the end of 2030 and crash it into the Pacific Ocean in an area called Point Nemo, according to a NASA press release. After 3 decades, a private sector will be taking over operations in the future, travel, and NASA will continue to support the transition. The private sector is technically and financially capable of developing and operating commercial low Earth orbit destinations with NASA assistance. We look forward to sharing our lessons learned and operations experience with the private sector to help them develop safe, reliable and cost-effective destinations in space. Phil McAllister, Director of Commercial Space at NASA headquarters, said in the release. The extension of operations at the space station until 2030 was backed up by the Biden administration, and the station is busier than ever, conducting experiments for government agencies and advancing technologies to send the first woman and first person of colour to the moon and the first humans to Mars. They'll never get over that country, really. What else has they got here? The International Space Station is entering its third and most productive decade as a groundbreaking scientific platform in microgravity. Robin Gattens, director of the space station at NASA headquarters, said in a release. The space station first launched in November 1998 and has orbited the Earth over 100,000 times. In October 2026, the spacecraft will begin its journey back toward Earth and crash at Point Nemo, as mentioned before, according to the transition report. A goal outlined in the transition report is to engage a diverse group of students to create a future diverse space workforce. Today's youth are tomorrow's scientists and engineers and researchers, NASA said. It is thus crucial to our nation and NASA's efforts to maintain the interest and curiosity of today's students so they continue to be inspired by the participate in the wide scope of space exploration roles. Yes, so the International Space Station is doomed. I don't know why they just don't retrofit rockets on it and send it off to Mars. All the infrastructure is there, put a crew on it, put some rockets on it and launch it out of Earth's orbit and send it on to Mars. Done deal. Of course, it's probably a lot more complicated than that. Anyway, it's a bit sad to have that infrastructure come down to Earth. All the money that gets poured into keeping it up there and all that, and it just gets burned up in the atmosphere. Anyway, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Time is 10:32. Very pleasant good evening to, there's no more people up there. Is there any emails? I forgot to mention about the email. We do have an email address. What is it? VK3EKH@gmail.com. VK3EKH@gmail.com. I should write something down here so I don't have to think about it. And I can see that there's two folks up there that have sent emails through. Excuse me. No, it's actually the one at this stage. G'day, Dom. VK3HDX sent a report in. Good signals all around tonight. Yep, beautiful. Thank you, Dom. Beautiful. Good. Glad to see that I'm getting out okay. Alrighty then. Let's see. Test 10:33. Okay, got to keep some time there for Timothy's solar report. Earth is apparently spinning faster now than it was 50 years ago. Compensating for the lost time may prove challenging for scientists, they say here. Ever feel like there's just not enough time in the day? Oh yeah. Turns out you might be onto something. Earth is rotating faster than it has in the last half century, resulting in our days being ever so slightly shorter than we're used to. And while it's a very, very small difference indeed, it's become a bit of a headache for physicists, computer programmers, and even stockbrokers. Excuse me. So, well, they're saying here, why does the Earth rotate? Our solar system formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Then a dense cloud of interstellar dust and gas collapsed in on itself and began to spin. There are vestiges of this original movement in our planet's current rotation, thanks to angular momentum, essentially. The tendency of the body that's rotating to carry on rotating until something actively tries to stop it, explains Peter Wheelburley a senior research scientist at UK's National Physical Laboratory. Thanks to that angular momentum, our planet has been spinning for billions of years, and we experience night and day, but it hasn't always spun at the same rate. Hundreds of millions of years ago, Earth made about 420 rotations in the time it took to orbit the Sun. We can see evidence of how each year was jam-packed with extra days by examining the growth lines on fossil corals. Although days have gradually grown longer over time, in part because of how the moon pulls at Earth's oceans, which slows us down a bit, during humanity's watch, we've been holding steady at about 24 hours for a full rotation, which translates to about 365 rotations per trip around the Sun. As scientists have improved at observing Earth's rotation and keeping track of time, however, they have realised that we experience little fluctuations in how long it takes to make a full rotation. In the 1950s, scientists developed atomic clocks that kept time based on how electrons in cesium atoms fall from high energy excited state back to their normal ones. Since atomic clocks periods are generated by this unchanging atomic behaviour, they don't get thrown off by external changes like temperature shifts the way the traditional clocks can. So over the years, through those scientists have spotted a problem, the steady atomic clocks were shifting slightly from the time that the rest of the world kept. As time goes on, there is a gradual divergence between the time of atomic clocks and the time measured by astronomy, and that is by the position of Earth or the Moon and stars. Says Judith Levin, a physicist in the Time and Frequency Division of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Basically, a year as recorded by atomic clocks was a bit faster than that same year calculated from Earth's movement. In order to keep the divergence from getting too big, in 1972 the decision was made to periodically add a leap second to atomic clocks, Levin said. Leap seconds work a little like the leap days that we tack on to the end of February every 4 years to make up for the fact that it really takes about 365.25 days for Earth to orbit the Sun. But unlike leap years, which come steadily every 4 years, leap seconds are unpredictable. The International Earth Rotation and Reference Systems Service keeps tabs on how quickly the planet spins up, sending laser beams to satellites to measure their movement, along with other techniques. When the time plotted by the Earth's movement approaches 1 second out of sync with the time measured by atomic clocks, scientists around the world coordinate to stop atomic clocks for exactly 1 second at 11:59 p.m. on the 30th of June or the 31st of December to allow astronomical clocks to catch up, and hence a leap second. Unexpected change, however. Since the first leap second was added in 1972, scientists have added leap seconds every few years. They are added irregularly because Earth's rotation is erratic, with intermittent periods of speeding up and slowing down that interrupt the planet's millions of years long gradual slowdown. The rotation rate of Earth is a complicated business. It has to do with the exchange of angular momentum between Earth and the atmosphere and the effects of the ocean and the effect of the moon, Levine says. We're not able to predict what's going to happen very far in the future. But in the past decade or so, Earth's rotational slowdown has, well, slowed down. There hasn't been a leap seconds added since 2016, and our planet is currently spinning faster than it has in half a century. Scientists aren't sure why. This lack of the need for leap seconds was not predicted, Levine says. The assumption was, in fact, that Earth would continue to slow down and leap seconds would continue to be needed. And so this result is very surprising. And finally, the trouble with, well, it hasn't quite finished. The trouble with leap seconds, however, depending on how much Earth's rotation speed up and how long they trend continues, and scientists might have to take action. There is this concern at the moment that if Earth's rotation rate increases further than we might need, that we might need to have what's called a negative leap second, Wilberley says. In other words, instead of inserting an extra second to allow Earth to catch up, we actually have to take out a second from the atomic timescale to bring it back into the state with Earth. But negative leap second would present scientists with a whole new set of challenges. There's never been a negative leap second before, and the concern is that software would have to handle that has never been tested operationally before. Whether a regular leap second or a negative leap second is called for, in fact, these tiny changes can be a massive headache for industries ranging from telecommunications to navigational systems. And that's because leap seconds meddle with time in a way that computers aren't prepared to handle. The primary backbone of the internet is that time is continuous, Levine says. When there's not a steady, continuous feed of information, things fall apart. Repeating a second or skipping over it trips up the whole system and can cause gaps in what's supposed to be a steady stream of data. Leap seconds also present a challenge for the financial industry, where each transaction must have its own unique timestamp, a potential problem when that 23:59:59 second repeats itself. Some companies have sought out their own solutions to leap seconds, like the Google smear. Instead of stopping the clock to let Earth catch up with atomic time, Google makes each second a tiny bit longer on a leap second day. That's the way of doing it, Levin says. But that doesn't agree with the international standard for how time is defined. In the grand scheme of things, though, we're talking about very tiny amounts of time. Just 1 second every couple of years. You've lived through plenty of leap seconds and probably weren't even aware of them. And if we view time as a tool to measure things, we see that the world around us, like the transition from one day to the next, then there's an argument to be made for following the time set by the movement of Earth rather than the electrons in an atomic clock, no matter how precise they might be. Levine says he thinks that leap second might not be worth the trouble they cause. My private opinion, he says, is that the cure is worse than the disease. If we stopped adjusting our clocks to account for leap seconds, it would take a century to get even a minute off from the true time recorded by atomic clocks. Still, he concedes that while it's true that time is just a construct, a decidedly human attempt to make sense of our experience in a big weird universe, it's also true that you have to have the idea that at 12 o'clock noon the sun is overhead, and so you, although you don't think about it often, do have a link to the astronomical time. Leap seconds are just a tiny, nearly invisible way of keeping that link alive. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. And that article is courtesy of astronomy.com. Look under the news tab for Earth is spinning faster now than it was 50 years ago. Thanks, astronomy.com. What else? Okay, it's coming up to 16:02. Yeah, alright, I think what I might do is go to Tamitha's solar report, and let's cue that up, and I think that should work. I'll just just have to turn it up and stand by for that. Oh dear, I'm losing my voice. Stand by for Tabitha. For her, it only goes for 12 minutes, so not too long. She's a very enthusiastic young lady.
We have an angry sunspot cluster that fires off a big solar flare and a solar storm, and it's headed straight for Earth. Those stories and more in the news this week. This space weather forecast is sponsored in part by Millersville University. Come get certified in broadcast space weather. Visit millersville.edu/SWEN. Our sun definitely brings on the eye candy this week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, it may not look like all that much, but do you see this region up here? This is region 2936, and as it begins to rotate into the Earth strike zone, it becomes an X-flare player. In fact, on the 29th, wham, right there, do you see that? It fires off an M1 class flare, and along with it, it also launches an Earth-directed solar storm. You can see the blast wave rippling across the disk like that. That solar storm is not super fast, but it is on its way to Earth, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Meanwhile, we also have a coronal hole that has been rotating in through the Earth strike zone, and we're dealing with the waning fast solar wind from that region. But since then, not too much has been going on unless you look at the east limb of the sun. We have a couple regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view here in the next couple days, and they are definitely solar storm players, so that's going to continue to boost that solar flux up even higher into the triple digits than we already are, and that's great news for amateur radio operators and emergency responders. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, as you can see, for this past week, we've actually been having quite a bit of flare activity. In fact, late on the 25th, you can see nearly an M-class flare. That was from region 2935. But as time has gone on, you can watch that background level continue to rise. In fact, right now, we're sitting about the sea floor, and this means good radio propagation on Earth's day side because you can use this as a proxy for solar flux. We're sitting well into the triple digits, and it's going to continue to be that way. In fact, as we get to the late on the 29th, you can see that we popped an M1 class flare. This is a long duration flare, and it's from region 2936, and that was when it launched that big solar storm toward Earth. You can always tell it because the long duration flares are when they launch those big solar storms. And even after that, we're still sitting about the seafloor. So we're going to continue to have decent radio propagation on Earth's day side, at least until region 2936 rotates off of the west limb, which will be in about 4 days or so. But you know what? We have new regions that will be rotating into Earth view from the sun's far side, and that will likely continue to keep that solar flux up into the good range. Switching to our solar storm conditions, as you can see over the past week, we've really been hovering between unsettled conditions and even quiet conditions. And this has been because we've had a couple pockets of fast solar wind from some small coronal holes that have rotated in through the Earth strike zone. But it really hasn't done all that much. In fact, the largest of the two big pockets of fast solar wind that we've been getting has only been passing through the Earth strike zone over the past couple days. As we take a look, about the 28th is when we started hitting active conditions, and that was because we had at least a decent pocket of fast solar wind that did bring us a little bit of aurora. In fact, it kept us at active conditions for over 12 hours, a little bit more than half a day actually, before things began to settle back down. And now we're kind of back to the same thing where it's kind of unsettled to quiet conditions depending, and that's from some, remnant coronal holes that are just kind of giving us a little bit of fast wind, but not too much disturbance. But this is all going to change as soon as that solar storm that's Earth directed hits us, at least by February 2nd. Now, switching to your solar storm prediction models, we're in luck that the three major agencies, meaning NOAA, NASA, and the Met Office UK, are all pretty much in agreement as to when this solar storm is going to hit Earth. So as we take a look at the Enlil prediction model, this is NOAA's version of the model. You can see we're staring at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. Now, the top panel's density, the bottom panel's velocity, and when you take a look and you see that solar storm being launched, You can watch it right when it starts hitting Earth. That's literally right at the beginning of February 2nd. And that's a pretty good estimation as to when this solar storm is going to hit. Now, if we take a look at NASA's version of Enlil, we're only going to look at the density panel. Once again, we're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. NASA has the solar storm hitting a little bit earlier, right about 1800 hours on the 1st. So that's just a little bit faster. So if the solar storm behaves in this manner, we could actually see aurora easily coming down to mid-latitudes, possibly even giving us a bigger solar storm impact than we expect. Now, if we switch over to the Met Office UK's version, here, very much similar to the picture. And when you watch that solar storm coming off toward Earth this time, it's a little bit on the slow side. So when this solar storm hits Earth in the Met Office UK's version, well, it's a little bit later on the 2nd, about 5 UT. So we do have a little bit of a window here where it could hit late on the 1st, maybe early, morning on the 2nd. And, if it hits like NASA thinks, it's going to be a stronger storm. If it hits like the Met Office thinks, well, then it's going to be a weaker storm. Either way, we could easily get aurora down to the upper tier of mid-latitudes. So what else does our sun have in store for us this week? Well, this is stereo A. It's our partially far-sighted monitor. You can see here's Earth, here's the sun, and here's stereo A staring at the sun just a little bit from the side. And when you take a look at stereo A, you can see region 2936. That should anchor your view a little bit because that's the region that fires off that Earth-directed solar storm on the 29th. Now, if you look past it toward the sun's east limb in stereo's view, not only do you see a finger-like coronal hole that could be bringing us a little bit of aurora here in about 10 to 14 days, but you can also see more regions on the east limb of the sun. A couple of them actually are definitely solar storm producers, and they might even be M-flare players as well, including region 2940 and 2939. 2939 has actually been showing some interesting fireworks. The nice thing is that no matter what, these regions and even ones behind it are going to end up boosting that solar flux and keeping it well into triple digits for amateur radio operators and emergency responders, which means decent radio propagation on Earth's day side for easily a week. Switching to our moon, we are now passing through the new moon phase, with the new moon being on the 1st, and even by the 5th, the moon will be only about 20% illuminated. So you night sky watchers, if you want to catch some dim objects in the sky, like, I don't know, maybe some aurora from a coming solar storm, now is the perfect time. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the hit from that big solar storm that is Earth-directed. At high latitudes, NOAA is expecting a major storm conditions, really up to about an 85% chance of a major storm right on the 2nd, with things kind of settling down as we move into the weekend. Now, mid-latitudes, we also have a good chance for aurora. We have a minor storm conditions that are expected, with even up to about a 30% chance of a major storm. And again, things should be settling down reasonably quickly after that as we move into the weekend. So aurora photographers, if you want to catch some aurora, even down to mid-latitudes, you have a good chance, as you can see, in the midweek once the solar storm hits, but then things should quiet down pretty quickly there afterwards. Switching to our solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week, we definitely continue to be in the yellow when it comes to big solar flares, and this is due to region 2936. That's an X-flare player. It's the one that launched that Earth-directed solar storm just a few days ago. In fact, NOAA is still giving us about a 40% chance of M-class flares and even a 10% chance of X-class flares over the next few days from this region, and this will likely persist because region 2936 will not be rotating off of the sun's west limb and onto the far side easily for the next 4 or 5 days, possibly longer. So GPS users, just realize we are in the risk for radio blackouts right now on Earth's day side, so beware, especially near dawn and near dusk, that you could be dealing with some serious GPS reception issues sporadically. Also, we are having some decent solar flux right now, and this is due to all the regions on the Earth-facing disk. So amateur radio operators, you're dealing with good propagation on Earth's day side. Of course, you are having to deal with a lot of noise on the bands. That's because the sun is pretty flare active right now, and so it's creating a lot of noise, but at least propagation is good and it will remain good, and it could easily be good over the next couple weeks because we have even more regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view over next week. So enjoy. Now also, because we are dealing with region 2936, it is an X-flare player. It does mean we have a risk for radiation storms. So we are having about a 10% risk for an S1 radiation storm, and that adds to the D2 minor range that we are already in. So you frequent flyers, and this does include aircrew who fly over 800 hours annually and fly at high latitudes and high altitudes, you are in the moderate range for radiation dose, and this does include prenatal passengers. Keep your eyes on the predictions here to make sure that you're not going to be flying during a radiation storm, and if you have to, definitely include that in your flight plans. So the space weather this week is giving us a lot to consider. We do have that Earth-directed solar storm that was launched from that M1 flare from region 2936, and that solar storm is on its way. It should be hitting us around the 2nd. So aurora photographers, you could get some aurora cleared down to mid-latitudes as we move through middle of the week and into the weekend before things begin to settle down. So definitely keep your batteries charged. The nice thing is that we also have a coronal hole that'll be rotating in through the Earth strike zone here in about another week, so that could give us yet another chance for aurora. So you might have some good chances here, and keep your fingers crossed because it could be a great show. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, you guys should be loving life as well, because we now have that solar flux boosted well into the triple digits, and that means good radio propagation on Earth's day side. Yeah, okay, you have to deal with some noise on the bands, but hey, we are well into solar cycle 25 now, and it looks like we may be staying into triple digits for solar flux, possibly, until solar minimum comes in another 7 years. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that's the case. And now you GPS users, well, it's not such great news for you right now. We've got the solar flux up into the triple digits, which means your GPS reception at low latitudes isn't all that great, even on Earth's night side. And we have radio blackout possibilities because we have a big flare player, an X-flare player on Earth's day side. So that causes problems for you. And of course, we have a solar storm that's coming, and that's going to give you problems on Earth's night side, especially anywhere near aurora. So, just kind of hang in there. GPS reception will improve. But until then, stay away from aurora on Earth's night side and stay away from those dawn dusk terminators if you want your GPS reception to be top notch. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Okay, thanks, Tamitha. That was quite an informative piece. So that was mostly covering last week up until tomorrow. But these things tend to continue on for a few days. So this weekend for you DX guys out there should be an interesting one. If it isn't already, I've heard that 10 metres is a bit active there in the mornings and nights. So yeah, and 40 metres has been known to be producing some decent signals from around the world. Anyway, all right, thanks, Tamitha. Excellent report, and I shall repeat that, maybe not on Sunday morning. I do the WIA broadcast on the ATV repeater Sunday morning at 10:30, and the visual one, and I think there's also the Old Timers bulletin is due. For the first one for this year is due. I shall confirm whether that audio piece is available. If it is, I'll run an Old Timers broadcast after the WA broadcast on the Melbourne TV repeater, and I'll try to remember to repeat it later on Sunday night from, I guess, 8 o'clock. And what else is there? Oh yes, and of course the ATV QSO party is coming up sometime in the near future, but that's not what I was going to say. Tuesday night ATV Net, hosted by Ian, VK3 Quebec Lima, doing a fantastic job. So that's Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the Melbourne TV repeater, and you can also see the stream on the BATC stream, the British Amateur Television video server. Okay, and I think that's about it with the announcements there. It's 11 o'clock. I was going to have a bit of a talk about New Zealand. Where is it? Here. Just very, very briefly. I'll talk about it next week. But the Pacific nation's audacious bid to become the world's first dark sky nation might provide a blueprint for the rest of the world. So New Zealand's on this project to try and reduce the amount of glare from cities and bring back the stars to the cities that are missing. Anyway, there's an article on that. I'll leave that till next week. Thanks to Drew, VK3XU, for bringing that up on the coffee break this morning. Thanks, Drew. Alright, on that note, this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. I can see that there's emails from Don, Andrew and Ian, VK3KIS and VK3 VIM. So thanks guys for your emails and reports there. Excellent. So glad to see that signals are getting out there. And also to the stations that there's Kim there. Is that Kim VK5 FUSC Kim? I'm not sure. But I note your comment there, Kim. Thank you very much. He's typing something right now. 12 watching on YouTube. Oh, very interesting. Don't subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. Don't have to ring the bell thing. It doesn't worry me. You go onto YouTube and everybody wants you to subscribe and a lot of crap. So I'm just happy that you roll up and watch the YouTube thing. So that's all you've got to worry about. Okay, so now I shall conclude transmissions on the medium wave service on 1865 kilohertz. So free up the frequency for the late night station that comes up there. G'day Steve if you're listening. And so this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast in its 30th odd year, broadcasting since 1988, and I'm very tired. No, we're concluding transmissions on 1865. Thanks to our 160 metre listeners, and we'll be back next Friday to do it all again. There's no no callback on 160. We decided to do it on 80 metres. It's just a little bit easier. Don't have to worry about two bands. So this is VK3 EKH. If you're interested in the Astronomical Society of Victoria, just visit the website at www.asv.org.au and all will be revealed. This is VK3 EKH, Radio ASV, concluding transmissions on our 160 metre service. Good night, everyone. Alright, stations on 80 metres. Let me find my pen and paper. And any stations wanting to give reports on tonight's session, by all means, go ahead now.
VK3 Tango Juliet here. VK3 Victor India November. VK3 Delta Alpha.
Fantastic. Oops, wrong man. I came up on 160 then. Excuse me, it's a little frog in the throat, still getting to me. Okay, we've got VK3GL, VK3HDX, VK3TJS, VK3VIN, VK3 Delta Alpha. Are there any other stations?
VK3VDA, Delta Alpha. VK3KT was in there. VK3YJQ.
Alright, we've got VK3BDA, VK3 Kilo Tango, and VK3YJQ. Anybody else?
George.
George?
Kilo
Thanks, Craig. All right. Kilo Golf. Oh my God, my writing. All right, let's go to the top of the list. VK3 Golf Lima. VK3. What's my call sign again? EKH. Go ahead there, Gray.
Hi, good evening, Click. VK3EKH, VK3GL. A very pleasant good evening to everyone else who called in there this evening. You've got quite a good turn up this evening, Clint, and the band conditions are actually quite good. Not terribly noisy, and 80 metres is firing along quite nicely. You've been 20 to 30 over 9 most of the broadcast session this evening. Thanks very much for putting the broadcast together. I did watch some of it on the YouTube stream. Particularly watched that because of the space where the woman cast that you put up, or the repeat of the video that you put up, and was most interesting. So thanks again for doing the broadcast, and like I always say, we'll see if we can catch up over the weekend. But invariably that never happens. Anyway, good to catch up this evening, and a very pleasant good evening to everyone else who called in. VK3EKH, VK3GL down in Bunyip.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. VK3GL Bunyip, VK3EKH. Mightily good signal from you too. Good 25 to 30 over. So propagation is definitely working in my favour on 80 metres tonight, it seems. Yeah, thanks, Graham. Yeah, as Tamitha certainly gets quite involved in her interest there. So yeah, it's. I'm glad I found her little sessions. So it's. Makes it all very interesting. Gives me a rest anyway. Thanks, Graham, and hopefully we'll catch up with you over the weekend. At some stage I've got to bring the tower down to fix on a few things. I don't know what's wrong with my reception of the repeater at the moment. I'm now looking at the input to the TV repeater, so at least I can see something on the screen here. All right, thanks, Graham. Don, go ahead. VK3HDX, VK3EKH.
Usual, and interesting broadcast. Yeah, always enjoy Tamitha. You've got a lot there, a lot of callbacks tonight, Clint, so I won't hold it. Thanks for doing the broadcast, and you were working on RTV2, there was no problem there. Thanks again, and we'll hear you again next week. VK3EKH in the group, VK3HDX.
Good on you, Don. Thank you very much, sir. VK3HDX, VK3EKH, 30 over 9, coming in like a rocket. So that Anand sounds beautiful. Good on you, Don. Thanks, mate. VK3TJS, Jack up at Chippenham, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, this is VK3TJS. Good evening to you, Clint, and everyone that's checked in. G'day, Graham and Ian, and are they nice people? Everyone's pretty good signals, and yeah, I thought that was quite good, although a little bit of a noise again on LHF, and early on it was great. It was noise about 5 or something, but it's just come up, but then they just did it quite easily. So interesting, but there's losing the rotation speed and ever slowly, but yeah, interesting to see what happens in the end. So thanks very much. Good broadcast, good transmission, no drama at all, and hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy it, and catch up with you next time. VK3EKH, this is VK3TJS.
Thanks, Jack. VK3TJS, Shipperton, VK3EKH. You're peaking 20 over 9 here, so doing very, very well too. Excellent stuff. And yeah, the leap second was an interesting one, and but you know, we only need to have a decent earthquake like the one that occurred up there at Indonesia a few years ago. That sudden shift in the mantle that causes undue effects to Earth's rotation too. So yeah, there's a lot of factors the scientists have to consider, and as the article kind of alludes to, do we really need to bother with it, or what? So Well, at least from an astronomical point of view and all that sort of thing, the timing, I guess, is critical. So they are more than welcome to do their adjustments. Thanks, Jack, anyway. Good to hear you. Thanks very much for calling in. Ian, VK3VIN, Kangaroo Flat, VK3EKH.
Good broadcast of particular interest was the info about the space station. I think I made the comment in the email. It's hard to believe that it's been around for that long. What is it, third decade? Anyway, at least 24 years. But I can't remember the exact, I think it was 1998 when it was launched. So 24 years at least. So that's interesting. And the leap seconds and the Earth spinning slower or faster or whatever. So, and we haven't had a leap second average since 2016. Well, my goodness gracious me. What happens if we have to take a leap second off as the article discussed? Anyway, another good broadcast, well received, 5 and 9 plus 10, so you were down a little bit tonight. The QSB took you down to 3 to 9, but you didn't get up to 20 over 9, so between 9 and 10 over 9, which is pretty good anyway. Noise floor was strength 7 to 8, and that explains Tamas's comments about on the space weather, and that's always good listening. So thanks for the broadcast, and I found the live link to the YouTube broadcast tonight, so that was good too. And mate, do you sound different on that link? I won't say anymore, but you do sound quite different. And
Better or worse?
Oh yes, I will. I'll do it. The radio quality of the audio makes you sound quite a lot younger than the YouTube one. So don't be offended, but it's just how it is. Thanks for the broadcast. Been always good listening. VK3EKH, VK3VIN.
Thanks, Ian. VK3VIN, VK3EKH replying. Very good indeed. I'm glad because I don't feel young. I don't feel anything. I'm 61. That's what I feel. Actually older. Anyway, good on you, Ian. Thanks very much for the report. And yeah, I'm glad that you've found the YouTube feed. I keep stressing that because I now include pictures and graphics and the odd video. You know, it's important to be able to see it on the YouTube channel. Not everybody has access to VK3RTV, so certainly the YouTube channel, which has got the HD aspect to it, is much better to view. And if the band is noisy, you know, if there's lots of lightning crashes, then it's not very comfortable to try and hear my dulcet tones. So yes, the YouTube channel is probably the best thing. And I note that Kim VK5 FUSC, he's up there on the chat window. He's telling me that there's at least 12 people that are watching YouTube channel. So thanks guys for for viewing tonight. That's much appreciated. Yeah, the audio should be also quite fine. Although I think I'm not using this microphone. This whole PR40 is not what I'm using for the YouTube feed. It's actually the built-in microphone in the camera here is doing all the work. So I'm hoping as soon as I get my act into gear, whatever it is, I'll get everything going through this one whole microphone, which should be a little bit better quality. Anyway, I understand that the audio level to the TV repeater was a bit low. I'm not certain why that is, because according to my vMix program. I'm up there. Well, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you're quite right. It does look a bit low. I try to make sure that it just clips into the red. It's not doing it, so it might be a bit low. I'll fix that up next week. Anyway, thanks, Ian. Fantastic. I think it's Paul, VK3 Delta Alpha. Paul, have a say. VK3 EKH.
Yeah, VK3 EKH, VK3 DA. Good evening, Clint, and everyone else listening, and thanks for once again a very thorough broadcast. I must admit, I did catch it probably about 2/3 of the way in, and just listened to the rebroadcasting of the lady doing the report on the solar storms that we've been getting, which I've been following quite closely, I must admit, especially in the last 48 hours, where last night was actually quite spectacular at 11:30 p.m. Unfortunately, I had a very early shift in ICU today, so I couldn't really go out in images most of the night. I've been keeping an eye on it tonight, but if anybody's interested, I've actually had quite a little bit of activity probably about an hour ago, which you see at the moment the KP is about 3, which is pretty much moderately weak atmospheric excitation, but the power was about 100 and probably maybe 8 gigawatts, and now it's decreasing a little bit. The BZ, for those that are interested, the BZ represents the direction of the energy, and it's actually was quite south at a negative 8.5, or at its peak a negative 9, where last night she peaked down about a negative 18, so quite well funneled towards the southern hemisphere. She's increasing now to about a negative 3.9, which basically means all the solar wind and the power is going towards the equator and possibly heading north, and the actual the disturbance time index is actually increasing as well. So when I say increasing, it's actually becoming less powerful. And I think she's probably peaked tonight. So those of you that are interested in grabbing the cameras, I think you may have missed the peak of it. But she's going to become quite intensive tomorrow, I believe, Saturday as well as Sunday, which is a very interesting thing, because usually with auroras, they don't last anything longer than 48 hours, but this one seems to have a prediction up to 72, and we were a direct hit in the coronal mass injection, and plus a coronal hole, I believe, facing us as well. Interesting discussion, what you said about, or interesting what you mentioned before, Clint, in relation to earthquakes altering the rotation of the Earth. I'm just curious to see if it actually alters the position of the Earth as well. And when I say position, I'm basically saying the axis of what we rotate on, and hence the location of our northern and southern stars, so Polaris and actually Octan Sigma, respectively. So whether there's a slight deviation of that would always be interesting as well. So that's the beauty of astronomy, I suppose. If you can't follow a line on the day of the earthquake, something's probably out a little bit of kilter. Never mind. But anyway, as far as the reports, Quinn, as usual, excellent audio. There's nothing to complain about there. And you're about 30 over 9, and you always have been on 80 metres on most nights. I didn't have a listen on 160, I do apologise, and nor did I have a look on YouTube. I was too busy listening to this and following the internet in relation to these storms. Facebook's going absolutely nuts at the moment. Everybody's showing their pictures, and I must admit, I'm a little bit disappointed with some of the pictures, not as the pictures themselves or quality or lack of photography, but basically how the aurora is, how she's presenting herself tonight. But I'm gearing up for tomorrow night. Hopefully we get a decent second wave. We'll just have to wait and see where I can probably prepare and capture it in time. Just a quick quote, not a quote, but just a quick note to Graham, 3GL. G'day, mate. The audio to me is a little bit slightly distorted. Now, I know how particular you are, and you usually present to me with some really fine audio, but tonight I'm not that impressed. And for me to say that to you means something, I'm sorry. But anyway, Clint, keep up the good work, and as I said, very interesting to finally catch up, and hopefully you will. VK3, EKH, VK3 Delta Alpha.
Wow. Good on you, Paul. VK3DA, VK3 EKH returning. Thanks for that great report on the aurora. Yeah, I've just gone to our website on the ASV to look at the latest image for the current aurora, and oh, pardon me, I can cut to that. Okay, we're back on the audio. Excuse me. So anybody looking at the video, the YouTube side of it, can see that's the current aurora, probability of aurora, but that's the current forecast, aurora forecast over the Atlantic, Antarctica. It's excuse me, it's extending out to Tasmania well and truly. So anybody down at Tassie right now should be able to get a bit of a hint in the sky of some activity. So it's ripe for activity, just exactly as Paul was saying. So tomorrow night would be most likely a ripper of a night for potential aurora photographers. Go down to the beach line and have a look at south and see what you can see. I'm on an email list. There's an email list of reports that people put in for sightings, auroral sightings. But the only problem with the blasted list, and it's the only reason why I signed up on it, was I was hoping that it would be in near real time. If anybody was seeing any auroral activity, that they put up a quick note on the email and everybody would see it. But it's always after the fact. This email list that I'm on is delayed quite a bit. It's never indicating that it's actually happening now. So not much use to me. I've yet to see aurora. I haven't seen it at all. So looking forward to first experience of that. I'm on Facebook and I've joined quite a few pages there, the astronomical pages. So I'll keep an eye out. ASV have probably got something too that might come up on the forum site, so I'll check that out as well. But yeah, thanks Paul. Good signal from you. You're 20 over 9 and mightily good. All right, it's now across to Graham up there at Chippenham, Bendigo actually, I guess. VK3BDA, the official call sign there of the Bendigo District Astronomical Society, which is now part of the ASV. VK3BDA, g'day Graham. VK3EKH, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks Clint. VK3EKH, VK3BDA, the call sign of the Astronomical Society, Victoria, Bendigo section. And good evening everybody. Thanks very much for the news this evening, Clint. Really good to hear about the James Webb telescope. Seems to be doing what it's meant to be doing at this stage, and actually watched the launch Christmas night. Finished off quite a pleasant Christmas day, and watched the launch, and all that was very exciting. And then obviously we're able to follow it on the internet and see its travel out to where it needs to be. So we'll look forward to hearing more about that and seeing some of the signs that it'll return in years to come. Should be pretty impressive. And Panel sounded really good tonight. Also on the radio, the actual radio broadcast of Pamela, I thought sounded pretty good. It seems to come across quite a bit. And also watched the video link to there on the ASV side there, Clint. Followed that as well. So that seems to be pretty good. And all good quality. So so there we have it. Just thought I'd check in and say hello to yourself and everybody. Once again, thanks for the really good net there, Clint. It's always good to catch up with all the astronomical news in the one spot each week here on 3.541 at 10 a.m. Cheers for now, 73. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's yourself, Clint, VK3EKH, VK3BDA Bendigo, listening.
Yeah, thanks Graham. VK3BDA Bendigo, VK3EKH on 3541 kilohertz. I should get a little one of those little musical type things like 3MP does, or those other stations, little musical thing to. Don't worry about it. Anyway, thanks, Graham. Good signal, 20 over 9, and we try to make it interesting. All right. Oh dear. VK3KT, VK3EKH.
interspace movement, solid support, time they not very critical for that. Something which they may still have to concern themselves. I enjoyed the part where the young lady was speaking. I thought she was a very commanding voice and quite easy to understand. I sometimes have difficulty with the voices from some of the women and due to the frequency response of my hearing, but hers was quite nice and clear. Also, the interesting on the story of the corona, the computer's being used for something else at the moment, but I will have a look later on. I haven't looked at Hedberg to see what he's predicting, but it would be interesting to see. What was the other thing? Someone made a comment about YouTube not being up to scratch in some cases. I tend to agree with that, with some of the things that people do put up, some of the how-to type of things that are probably better left alone with the sort of in-house production that some people have. But otherwise, there's a lot of very good presentations on YouTube. That's about all. Good evening to everyone. I've heard everyone so far. So I hope that you're able to copy their VK3, VKH, Kilo Golf Cape Clear.
Yeah, good on you, Craig. VK3 Kilo Golf, VK3 EKH returning. Yeah, I agree. Well, look, I've only just turned the audio up a little bit actually, because the level on the camera was down a bit, so there should be plenty of level now on the YouTube feed, as well as the TV system up there. So that's all sorted out. So yeah, thanks, Craig. All right. Yeah, thanks for the report. I think did I look at the meter? I can't remember now. Yeah, maybe. I'll give you a 15 to 20 over 9 signal. A little bit of QSB on it. All right, Steve. Now, Steve is usually one of the very first stations on my list, but he's right down the bottom. So have a say, Steve. I hope you're doing well. VK3YJQ. Probably falling asleep in the chair. VK3EKH.
Good evening to you, Clint, and good evening to everybody else on frequency. I've been able to hear everybody loud and clear all the way through the session, and you were picking up to 30 over 9 at times, Clint. A little bit weak now, about 20 to 20 over 9. I actually broke in pretty much straight after Graham, 3GL at the beginning, but I got swamped, I think, by quite a few others, and then I ended up down the list, Clint. I tried to get in early, but I missed out. Never mind, that's the way it goes on ham radio. Interesting session again. Thank you so much for presenting some of those stories, and Tammy's discussions on the solar activity. Very interesting, and interesting about the aurora. In fact, there was a news article on the evening news tonight about some aurora activity, and some photographs were shown. I think that might have been some of the images captured from last night. So yeah, I think Paul was talking about it. It's very active at the moment, and it's going for quite a few days. So let's get out there and have a look when the sky is clear. I think it's something to look forward to. We might even see something from Melbourne if we're lucky. I've seen red glows in the southern skies from Melbourne, even with the city lights sort of wrecking things that come up and be visible here in the city. Interesting story about the leap seconds, and they're really panicking about putting 1 second forward, which is an unusual phenomenon, as you say, Clint. So that could just turn out to be a little bit like the Y2K phenomenon years ago. That really was a storm that peaked up and nothing really happened with the turn of the century. Nothing really went berserk. In fact, at my work, I was on call. I was prepared to be on call in case at midnight, in case something went wrong with the mobile phone network, and I'd have to go in and reset all the base stations and get the network back up and going. So that's how silly we were back then, and nothing really happened at all. You made a comment there too from that article that said something about we usually have our clock synchronised with the astronomical time, so that Webb telescope. I watched something on YouTube tonight about that. They're very interesting. The telescope's now starting to do its focusing. They're looking at a very faint star in the constellation Ursa Major, and they're starting to adjust the segments of the big telescope, parabolic focusing. That's going to take months apparently to get it right down to the finest possible looking black and get. And they quoted a figure in that article on YouTube that the infrared camera is going to be so cold it will only be about 6 degrees above absolute zero. Rather incredible stuff. I'll give you one last piece of news, Clint. My mobile phone app did go off quite a few times in the last month or so, and the most recent editions were on the 26th of January 2022. So we now have confirmed 4,650 exoplanets, according to that particular database. So it's growing every week, every month. There are more exoplanets being discovered and added to the list. And I think we'll be cracking the champagne once again when we hit 5,000 confirmed. Thanks for the session, Clint. Terrific stuff. And I'll say good evening to you and everyone else, and have a great weekend. VK3 EKH to take it. VK3YJQ.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. VK3YJQ, VK3EKH. Just out of interest, are you home at the moment?
Yes, please, I am.
All right. No, it's just your signal's down. Must be just some short skip issue with on 80 meters. But normally I'm seeing a very good signal from you, 25 to 30 over. It's loud and clear. But you're hovering around S9. You're hovering around S9 to 10, 15 over, peaking, but not your usual strong signal there, Steve. Anyway, I'll put it down to probably auroral activity. Yeah, just looking at this auroral activity at the moment on the chart here, and it's definitely almost covering all of Tasmania. So yeah, might be something happening right now. We can go out and have a look if the clouds, if there's no clouds in the sky. All right. Oh, excuse me. All right, losing my voice. Thanks, Steve. Sorry that you happened to be the bottom of the list there, but you're quite right. The strongest station was Graham that I heard, but I did hear about 3 or 4 stations all on top of each other. So I just listened to the the very next call sign I heard, and that's the way it went. Anyway, thanks very much, Steve. I'll just take one more listen to see if there's any other stations there. VK3EKH listening.
Yeah, VK3BFG.
Yeah, have a say, Peter. VK3BFG, VK3EKH.
Yeah, good evening, Clint. I actually were out here in the chat and listening to your broadcast, and I was just about to leap up and adjust the clock. I thought I was getting worried. The time was wrong or something, but anyway, I don't think we're going to have to worry about 1 second here or there, although the bottoms do. Interesting stuff, though. So big signals from everyone tonight. Really terrific. I've got the RF game wound all the way back, and audio sounds fine. Audio on RTV was a little bit down, so we confirmed that one. Not sure why that would be when your VU meters are saying they're just into the red, but anyway, I'm sure you'll sort that out. I'm just wondering whether you're running SD model or HD.
It's standard.
VK3
Yeah, no, it's VK3 BFG, VK3 EKH returning. No, it's standard def. It's I don't have anything. It's HD here. Well, it's HT from the camera to the computer. So what I send out over YouTube is pretty good, stock standard HT. But no, this is the standard def SR transmitter that we're running. So yeah, HDMI out of the camera and into the just straight into the computer, and then straight into the into the TV. Well, actually, excuse me, I've actually got a USB to composite video converter. So because there's no HDMI input on the SD. So I've got a HDMI to composite video converter, little tiny white thing that I got off wish.com, I think it is. Seems to be working quite well. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything off the repeater, Pete. My receive side has decided to fail. I don't know why, but I'm currently looking at the input, the uplink to the repeater, but not the downlink. So I got Tony VK3VAT to confirm that there was in fact a signal going through, or picture going through the repeater. So I must fix up my receive antenna. It's just giving me all sorts of hell. Thanks, Peter. You're about 10 over 9 on 80, hovering between S9 and 10 over, so we're hearing you, so not a problem there. But yeah, I know noise in the suburbs is pretty bad with these lower bands, that's for sure. Thanks, Peter, good to hear. And I might add, I got a reply back from Stefan, and he's I sent him some pictures of the HD SR boards, and his reply back to me was he couldn't resolve one of the pictures for some reason, so he's asked me to send the picture again, and so I did, and they're all JPEG. I said to him they're all JPEG files, so you should have no problems in being able to see these images that I've sent. Anyway, so he hasn't replied back at this stage, but all I'm really wanting from Stefan is yes, send us the boards and we'll fix. That's all I'd be happy to hear. So anyway, we're at least we've got some communication going with him at this point in time. It's taken almost a week, but he has acknowledged my initial email to send those HD boards back to him. Anyway, we'll get there. Anyway, alright, enough of that. If there's nobody else for the callback as such, we shall conclude for tonight. This is VK3 EKH listening on 3541 kHz. One more time.
VK3 just checking in, not much to say. All good on the RTV side. Didn't miss a beat. And I don't like your signal on here, it's very noisy. I like it better when you're putting out a kilowatt or something.
What, on 80 metres?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think you're only doing 100 watts, aren't you, at the moment?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 100 watts. Am I? That's 160. Yes, no, it's just stock standard 100 watts there, Tony. So, although interestingly enough, even though you're 2.5 kilometres down the road, I can hear very interesting QSB on your signal. It actually sounds, to me, it sounds like it's effects of a rural activity, but it's just got a very wavy sort of sound to it. So, very interesting stuff. Tony, go ahead. Yep, no worries, Tony. VK3 VAT, VK3 EKH. Thanks for calling in, and all the rest. Thanks for the report at the beginning to confirm that I was getting a picture through the repeater. So unbelievable. Anyway, I've spent most of today gardening. I'm very tired, and I'm going to go downstairs and have some ice cream because I think my voice box needs it. And then that'll be that. So thanks, Tony, and thanks everybody for calling in tonight. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 or 11 stations, 10 stations that called in. And to everybody up there on the chat window, Martin VK7JAH, he's Martin says that I should swap the coffee with some whiskey. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. That would really fix it up. Bill, the K3KHT, good video, but sound is low. I think I've got that sorted out now, Bill. We've got Kim VK5FUSC has called in on the chat window there too, so thanks Kim for popping up. Kim's got a final report down here. He says Aurora looks good. They are very lucky in Tasmania to have such colourful auroral experience in the sky. Yes, I agree. 80 metre noise level is very high, he says. Makes it difficult. Yeah, no, I understand. Well, again, that's why I provide the YouTube stream, and I must fix up my audio stream too while I'm at it. But it's a scratch record, that one. Anyway, I think that's all there is there on the chat window, the Discord chat window. Cassiopeia, Graham, that's it. Yeah, thanks Nebs for calling in, and that's it on the chat window. All right, what next? Let's go. And to all the stations or folks that are watching the YouTube channel, be interested to know where you're viewing from. There might be some overseas stations there or folks, but you're more than welcome to send an email to vk3ekh@gmail.com, and I'll say hi. On that note, this is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcasts kicking off at 10 o'clock on 3541 and 1865 and VK3 RTV Digital Channel 2, audio stream, video stream, all that. So next transmission will be Sunday morning at 10:30 with the WA broadcast, followed by the Old Timers broadcast bulletin, they call it, and then of course the ATV net on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Hosted by Ian VK3QL. This is VK3EKH concluding on 3541. Cheers everyone, take care, look after yourselves, and thank you for listening, as they say. Cheers everyone. Okay. Nothing else heard. We shall conclude here. Just want to take a quick look at the auroral happening over us at the moment. Testing 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. If I was down at Tessie, you'd have a chance at seeing something, I reckon. So not too bad at all. Okay, so I shall finish up YouTube and on the repeater. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good weekend. It should be a nice weekend. Getting warmer on Sunday, and back to the old heat thing. But today has been beautiful, a really lovely day, that's for sure. One that I enjoy. This is VK3EKH concluding the broadcast here. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week. Bye, as they say. Thanks, Tamitha. Oh, wrong slide. Test pattern will do. Colour bars and text.